The Curse, episode 3. This show just keeps on surprising me, and keeps on engaging me completely. The tonal shifts are wild, but they work every time, and it's a fascinating and pretty bold look from these actors here, these comedians, these actors you can call them as well. Bold look into liberal allyship, right? And faux allyship, but also they're trying hard, but really they're out for themselves. Deep down, do they really care that much? I think Whitney has a little bit more of a heart than Asher here on the right. Asher's a little bit more, uh, in certain ways, but they're both flawed, right? And that's what makes it interesting. And who doesn't want to take down uh, these bougie white liberals who think they're all snazzy and cool? It's fun to laugh at them, right? So it's a fun show, and it's awkward, and that's cool too. Um, but we're gonna go to episode 3. We're gonna just like run through it. We're gonna like look at each scene. Um, I do appreciate this episode for maybe switching the perspective a little bit, giving us a little look into the life of this little girl and her family that put on that curse on Asher. Um, See what her life's about, because a lot of these shows, you know, it's fun to watch awful rich people, like in Succession, for example, do awful things, but often we don't get to see the other side. We don't get to see the people who have to suffer under them, right? So, of course, it is Nathan and Emma Stone's show, really. So, the other central characters, of course, but it's good to see that they took some time in this episode, and hopefully they will take more time in future episodes to delve into the community here and give their POV. And it's pretty elongated scene too, sequence here. But we'll get into it, and so I do appreciate that. It's pretty devastating when they two reunite, huh? Um, let's get into the spoiler section. But yeah, like if you're not watching it, I think you might want to take a gander, at the curse. Just my recommendation. And if you're watching this, then you probably have already seen at least the first episodes, right? And if you've seen this episode 3, then you're about to dive in with me into the curse. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, in the beginning of episode 3, we've got Azure here, getting ready to buy some land. He's gonna go into a land auction here, uh, and hopefully for him, he could put some fancy houses on it and sell it and get a profit. Right, that's his idea. He's working hard for the business of Whitney and Asher, right? And it's interesting. He like the way he schemes here with this other auctioneer in the beginning. Scene here. I might have to go even a little slower. Right around here, right? Just like, oh, you better not buy that land. Different ways of manipulation. We get another little insight on how he manipulates to get his way here. But he actually overpays, right? So he's not the best auctioneer, right? Although I don't know if he was able to. He could have avoided it because someone else was also bidding high. but of course he kind of goes over it pretty quickly here because he doesn't want to dwell on the fact that maybe he did overpay, right, for that land. So just another colonizer doing colonizing things as they sit down and watch the episode with us. Pretty much, it's kind of meta, isn't it? The way they're watching TV here while we're watching on our couches, maybe, or in our chairs or beds or wherever. But they're looking at some feedback here from some testing here. These can be kind of fun. I've done, when I lived in LA, I did a couple of these things where you got brought in and you talked about what you want. I saw like that Tim Allen show that came out maybe 10 years ago or something. Last Man Standing or something. I don't know. Some Tim Allen show that was basically a sequel to Home Improvement or something. I don't know. I kind of forgot all about it. I didn't say nice things about it because I didn't like it. But anyways, so it's so they get to actually they got the privilege of actually getting a whole panel here to discuss their freaking show and get and Asher here gets to realize that finds out that people don't think he's that funny or attractive or really a good sidekick for for Whitney here for the show. So it's a little bit, self-deprecating humor, And then this guy, freaking Dougie here, like, can you believe this guy? Can you believe that he freaking goes to get? I think they're frozen. They might be frozen blueberries, right? He went to the bottom shelf, the bottom freezer of the fridge, and grabbed. They might not. They might have been put there. Oh shit! How do I pause this? There we go. Right, he's upset because apparently the network isn't too keen on it. I think Buggy doesn't quite come out and say it, but it seems that way, and they're worried that they're not going to get picked up. And of course, Asher is super invested in this and wants and is confused as to why Dougie is so relaxed, nonchalant about the whole thing. Nonchalant enough to go grab some blueberries with his bare hands. Especially you put them in the fridge and in the freezer if they're frozen, they melt a little bit. Like frickin' blueberries stain so much. Like it's so easy to stain anything, even like on like a countertop, like even like one of those fancier countertops, like the marble ones. Like it could still stain. You gotta use like peroxide. You gotta the or the vinegar and baking soda mix. That's a good way of getting rid of some stains. But you need some heavy duty stuff sometimes. So he's kind of clueless about that, and so such a slob here, freaking messing up the couch here. What a slob, Again, he's one of those characters. He's not really concerned about other people. He just wants to, he's just a lonely man who is oblivious to how he comes off as, but wants some friends, wants some friends. He's not doing a good job, and who would really want to hang out with the guy who freaking walks around with blueberry juice on his hands? Come on. Anyway, we get to this again, and Asher gets to feel shitty again, which is funny. You can feel shitty, whatever. And the funny thing is, and then this appeals to Whitney here when one of the people here, this woman on the left, I think she calls out this other guy for not believing in climate change and stuff. So another example of Whitney being the type of liberal who's vocally concerned about all these issues like climate change, but as long as it benefits her, as long as she's not taking it seriously enough to care about when, as we saw in last episode, when little birds fly into her reflective house and just splat and die. That doesn't really concern her. But when she speaks up, this person here about climate change, she's like, "Yep, that's my viewer. That's who we want to get. That's me. That represents me." So just some more funny stuff. For some reason, it's froze here. Let's get that up and running again. Just 1 second. That should be fine. Okay. So that ended with Dougie's like, "I want some pizza because he's lonely," and they're not gonna eat because they don't want to eat with him. But this scene here is probably this is the turning point of this episode, right? It's like, hey, let's switch the perspective. When this started here, I thought, wait, is that supposed to be Nathan when he was younger? So this is a flashback. Nope. Way in the back there is that little girl. I forgot. Did they give her a name? I totally forgot the name. I don't know. But she's the girl who hexed, cursed Asher, Nathan's character, in the first episode. And they don't really come out and say it, but I think it's pretty clear here that she is she's being punished here. She perhaps I am, a lot of things could happen, but it would seem that maybe she spoke out when maybe she was being bullied or something, and the teacher assumed that she was the aggressor and put her in timeout, right? The calm corner is what it says up there. Because statistically speaking, you can look it up. Black kids and children of color tend to be punished more often in schools. It happens because racism and all that. And so it's kind of like a subtle way of calling that out here in this little scene here, right? Like, this happens because it doesn't. You kind of have to like think of. It takes a while to like actually understand what's going on. It's like, oh, she's actually in timeout. There isn't like a desk over there, and just the visual of her being hidden by this bigger white boy here. Really potent imagery there. And of course we get here's the reveal, like, oh, she was being bullied. Like, we got these other girls giggling at her, and we could kind of understand, okay, why was she put in the corner there, right? It's just another example of how she's getting the short stick in life because of this society we live in, right? And Asher and Whitney represent the haves, the privileged, as they come in to gentrify this whole area. And we get a more interesting connection as we go forward and follow them back home. This whole scene was pretty interesting because I think it seemed to me like it was all improvised. It felt really authentic to me. This is how kids talk, it seems. Like big sisters get like all mad and pissy at their little sisters. it felt really real. And even this fear here felt really real, right? When they hear that knock on the door. A little bit about me. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but I grew up as an immigrant. Really, I mean, technically, I'm an immigrant. My family immigrated to the U.S. when I was like, pretty young, like 4 years old, something like that. We had, I remember growing up and being a little bit more afraid when it came to like official paperwork shit, going to the doctor, going to freaking, getting like my driving's permit. I remember just being afraid of how I would be treated because we weren't, citizens at the time. We were others, right? And going through like customs and airports, and it was all fearful. And so the idea of a stranger coming into your home at that age, it's pretty intense. That definitely can relate a bit to the scene, right? Pretty intense. I think we definitely get that feeling here with the shot, how it's shot, the freaking fear in these girls' eyes, like especially this little girl. And of course, the big sister, she's prepared. Okay, we got to get out of here, because guess what? It's freaking Asher at the door with this some power tools, even because he couldn't get in because it was locked, right? He had to use the power tools. And what a reveal, right? Like, I didn't really expect it, I think the idea is like, oh, they're getting broken into. That's a fear that anyone can relate to, right? Shit. Like, you don't want to be broken into. But the fact is, this property is owned by Asher and Co. And he was just getting in because he technically owns the place, because the previous owner, I guess, went AWOL. And they couldn't, the father here couldn't pay the rent. I guess he was paying, but it wouldn't, his checks weren't cash, so he stopped paying. Basically, it's like an eviction scene, pretty much, right? Horror style. And from the outside perspective, from the perspective of the neighbors, this is a freaking horror about a freaking creeper here running after these girls, right? Once again, Nathan puts himself in these awkward, cringy situations of like, oh shit, this neighbor thinks he's a pedophile. And of course, definitely looks suspicious what's going on here. He just wants to give back the money that, he could have just, he could have just done in the first place at the parking lot, but nope. And then he lied about it to Whitney about going and finding the family, and now he's here trying to finally get rid of this curse, right? But luckily for Nathan, he's the owner of the house. He's got the paperwork, and the cops are on his side. But Asher isn't a complete monster. He is actually face to face with the people he could evict, as opposed to doing it from afar. And they're the people who put a curse on him, what the girl did. So he has an incentive to keep them happy, right? And he decides, you know what, I'll deal with it. But definitely scary shit, when cops are around. And especially in this situation, right? He was ready to evict him right there and there. But Asher comes in to save the day. um, he tells Whitney about it, and his lies build on lies, because Whitney's like, wait a second, weren't they in like a transitional housing before? And like, he's like, oh yeah, I guess things change or something. Like, so she's a little bit suspicious about that, and he has to be like cover up his own lie by saying that, oh no, they were just confused or something, and like, and I gave them the $100 last time, but this time they pretended maybe that they didn't get it, and so I gave it to them again this time. And so it was like, making them out to even look like liars. So yeah, he's not, once again, Asher's not quite the ally you might think he is. But another great scene there. Like, all these scenes are really, painting a clear picture of who these people are, right? In both ways, you don't really see that much in these movies or shows, right? You wouldn't really, like, I think it's pretty cool that Emma and Nathan here are portraying these characters to, because these represent kind of like a lot of the Hollywood actors, really, and people who in general are pretty well off, and don't really address the classes below them, in their movies or in life, in their but anyway, so from here we go to the doctor's office, and we get another, this is the actual doctor they like, and they just have to refrain from sex for a while, right, before they can get back into the baby making situation. And Asher goes a little bit too specific here, being his over analyzing self right here, and making sure oral is okay, right, and stuff like that. We can still do oral, right? It's funny how he acts it out. He like makes it all like, yeah, this is actually serious. Like, this is, I read about it. This is not weird. Not a weird thing to ask. Oh, and now they're discussing like renovating the house that family lives in, and businessman Asher is like, well, we don't really need to put that much into it, because we're gonna flip it anyways. We're gonna tear it down and freaking build a better house on top for us. So yeah, he saved them from immediate eviction, but for how long, right? He's like, yeah, maybe they can be there a year. He says, eventually he's gonna come on knocking, and this time, he's not gonna be on that family side, at some point. So just a more revelation of what this character really is, and reflects reality. That's what happens in real life. Most landlords, yeah, and landowners aren't aren't even as nice as this guy, right? So let's get that working again. We get back to Dougie. He again, he's actually not close to Asher's house. He was calling like, hey, I'm just in the neighborhood. Let's hang out, But Asher, of course, and Whitney just want to keep him as a business partner here, not or as his producer role. They just want that out of him. They don't want to, be too friendly with this guy, But maybe he needs some love. I don't know. But he's a bit of a douchey guy, anyways. But we get a scene of him crying, because he's sad. He's a sad dude, It's kind of like, everyone deserves some love, I guess. But they go back to their freaking store, and guess what? It's closed because they're only going to be open for the show while it's filming, and because the people they're working with, they're like, hey, you can't expect this business to be open without getting paid, without making any money. So that goes bad for them because they want to uphold their promise that they're going to keep those jobs going for the people of the community. And business is business, and that's just not how things work in the business world, the fuckers world. I guess they didn't even budget right. Like, did she? I guess they didn't have enough money to keep that coffee shop going. Of course, she's upset. Goes and actually hires that guy who was on the first episode to be the night guard, right? Give him that job at least. Asher doesn't take it too seriously, tickles her, and of course, anyone laughs when you're in the call, you could take offense to it. Like, why are you laughing? Are you laughing at my situation? Maybe they are. Maybe in a way they don't really care that much, right? Or taking it lightly, like it's not a big thing, right? And we're back to discussing what they can do. Yeah, so like she's like suggesting a GoFundMe. Yeah, let's have the community pay for these people to keep their jobs. Let's not bother with it. Let's not put the burden on ourselves. No, let's let the community support themselves, basically. Like, after these people get sacked from that temporary coffee shop, and but they feel like they're doing right. Asher's like, well, we'll think about that GoFundMe, but it's not a priority. If they at least want to feel like they're doing well and they're being part of the community, so they go and have some dinner with this family here, expecting something exotic, probably for to munch on. Oh, I bet they're gonna have some fun exotic meal from their home country or something, and it turns out it's just hot dogs. Like dude, they're like freaking poor. They're not gonna freaking, like, they should have brought like a nice meal. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? And so, of course, the father here, he freaking is skeptical about this whole situation of getting the place renovated. She said it's gonna be free, so it's just free rent for a while. Like, don't worry about it. And yeah, you want it in writing, folks. She wasn't even thinking about that, of course, because that's her character. These absent-minded liberals here, and here we get probably the big scene in the whole episode, right? Asher here is fixing putting on a new lock, and the little girls start talking to Whitney here, and she asks about the whole curse thing, right? It's apparently a TikTok trend. Makes sense. And her curse was to get rid of Asher's chicken from his dinner, which is a funny curse a kid would come up with, right? I'm sure she probably had evenings where she didn't quite have enough or any chicken in her spaghetti, so she wanted to put that feeling on on this meanie man here, Asher. Like, well, maybe you'll feel shitty when you don't have chicken in your dinner. And that's exactly what happened. Remember in was it episode 2? I think we saw him going through his food delivery, and I think was it penne alfredo or something, some pasta with chicken, frozen dinner situation, and all the chicken was missing. Pretty weird, right? It must be some fluke in the warehouse or something, in the packaging factory. He called to complain. I don't even know if he got a refund or not, but he realized, it dawned on him, shit, that was her. She frickin' did that. So it gets a little bit scary. So, he's been skeptical about the whole spiritual, witchy, curse magic stuff this whole season, right? He's not into that, but now he's starting to question it. Oh shit, is this real? Is this for real? Is this show supernatural? Or is it just a coincidence? Is it karma? Maybe that's what the show's about. The show, maybe the show should be called Karma, huh? I don't know. We'll see. But he's going over some TikTok videos, seeing what this is about. He gets paranoid about it and fixated on the idea that no one had a curse about chickens. That's weird. Of course, Whitney doesn't think it's a big deal. She's like, oh, whatever, it's just a TikTok thing. And we get some physical comedy here. That was, acted pretty well. It does feel authentic. I wonder how much, it's Nathan always does some improvised stuff in his shows, and so it makes you wonder, like, what scenes are fully scripted, what scenes are maybe half scripted, what scenes are fully improvised. Did they just improvise the whole thing as it went along? Maybe, I don't know. But here we have Whitney trying to recreate that moment, so it's kind of like a meta situation going on here, this whole scene. Recreate that moment for her Instagram to make them look nicer and hopefully impress the network and be like, hey, look, see, we're fun, we're funny, so the show can keep going. And of course, it's all contrived, and it doesn't, or it doesn't work. It's just bad. But throughout this, they start a little bit of a fight here. Asher doesn't feel like his feelings are validated, and they start going at it. Pretty intense, pretty good marital strife scene, pretty good. It turns out they were recording the whole time too, though they weren't quite live. That would have been something else if they were live, but it was recorded, and she actually she looks it over. It's one thing you can do in these day and age, these modern times. You can accidentally record your arguments with your spouse or loved one, and then recall it. Imagine having a whole video of that, a whole folder of videos of that on your phone. Ew. I mean, maybe you can learn from those incidents. She's reflecting upon it, but she deletes it immediately almost. Back to a curated glimpse of her past, where she had a funny sweater that she couldn't get off. I mean, the sweater was funny. She had a sweater and she couldn't get it off. That was funny. So, a little bit more of a palatable run down memory lane that way, But definitely interesting. Definitely an effective sequence, showcasing and building on on their characters and where they're at in the relationship. It's like every pretty decent marriage story or couples drama has that big old fight scene, you know, and this is only episode 3, you know, so it's fight scenes that reveal, what drives them and what pushes their buttons and all that. But I think we have several episodes left, right? Did I see it was 10 episodes long? Did I see that somewhere? Might be. Now we get back to the guy from the beginning who was offered that job at the coffee place that was, I guess, temporary. He kind of figured, yeah, it's temporary for the show. But he suggested that he do this night watch at night, overnight, when I think he said the crazies are out, something like that. It goes to show that he's familiar with this type of job. He's done it before. So, but this is the best they can do, I guess. And it ends like on this frame here, which is interesting. Kind of reminiscent of like older films. Just to get the audience to really like get that sink in. Like, he's this guy's just sitting out here while they're all cozy in their little homes, in their big homes, doing funny videos and having some marital issues. But they get to sleep comfy in their house while this guy's out here all night looking out over this property they own. For the community. So another great episode. It keeps at a steady pace, this freaking show, right? We got 3 good episodes in a row. They all might be amazing. Who knows? We're gonna get there. We're gonna go each week. We're gonna take a look. Yeah, definitely one of the better things to watch on TV right now, especially if you are in the mood to snicker at these faux allies here. And I'm hoping to see more of the community in future episodes, see how they're dealing with the gentrification that Asher and Whitney are introducing here into this, or are propelling further in this community. I'm sure there's going to be more awkwardness, more class warfare in full display, and shot with this documentary and professional style. So can't say no to that. We'll see. I'm still not too interested in this Dougie character. I feel like we kind of got to know him pretty well last episode. And this episode, he's probably the least interesting of the 3. Like I get his character already. Like I fully understand his character almost. I feel like as for Whitney and Asher, I feel like we still can deep further. We can dig deeper with them. I'm really interested to see how far they can go. How evil is Asher really, and how much of a hypocrite is Whitney gonna be? It's like let's freaking find out. Let's go. I'm interested. We'll see. But yeah, that's The Curse, episode 3.